Good afternoon guys, firstly hope you're well and welcome back to my channel. Now as you can see from the title of this video, I'm spicing things up, okay? It's basically a big kind of kick up my bum. I want to provide more value to you guys, not just 4 days of eating. Obviously you guys know I love my 4 days of eating, I love my hauls, but I was like, as I mature, my content does change and I'm going with the flow. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm going with that flow. It's the same with like my Instagram content, things are changing. I'm doing more like vlog style content on my actual Instagram as well, which you're not already, go and check it out. Anyway, let's get into this video. 4 top tips to help you build your glutes. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and of course any questions, pop them down below. I'm going to aim for at least one of these per month, and I'm going to run through different things like glutes, your workouts, how to structure those kind of workouts, knowledge that you need to have, fat loss tips, mistakes to avoid, mistakes that I've obviously made that I want you guys to avoid. But if there's any videos like this that you guys want to see, any topics you want me to discuss, please do pop them down below. Let's have a discussion, comment below. Honestly, I'll get back to you guys as quickly as I can. So I have written my point that I want to discuss, okay? Now I have actually done a similar post to this on Instagram, but I really want to sit down and just kind of go into more detail, really kind of home in on you guys and actually say to you, right, look, this is what you need to be doing. From somebody that's built their glutes, trust me, this is my starting photo, this is where I'm currently at. I have built my glutes, I know how long it takes. I've been there, I've done that. I've been through going through multiple kind of growing phases, fat loss phases, maintenance phases. I have been there, I've been at that starting point, I've been frustrated. Trust me, I have been there. So these points come from somebody that has been in that same position where you want that result, where you want that change. Of course, now look, I'm in a very incredible position, one that I'm very grateful for, where I can help obviously like-minded individuals, people like you guys actually achieve their results. Of course, I've got my coaching where I've helped incredible women worldwide literally smash their goals, whether that be fat loss, whether that be building glutes, improving their relationship with food, their habits, their just the way they view their body, etc. Just everything, okay? So the key point that I want to actually make, we've all been there, and I think that's one thing you've got to kind of bear in mind. So please never forget that. Literally, that's my key reminder. If you're not where you want to be right now, you will get there. We all start somewhere though, okay? We all start as a newbie, so please don't panic and just enjoy that process. So let's get obviously straight into actually my 4 main points. So my point number 1 is fueling your body. I feel like this is my most touched on subject, honestly. If you guys don't know this about me already, where have you been? Have you been living under a rock? You guys know how much I eat. I eat a lot of food, and that's personalized to me and my goals. The key factor is a deficit is not going to cut it. If you actually want to build your kind of glutes, okay, you need to step away from dieting. You need to be comfortable sitting at maintenance or in a surplus, okay? Because let's be realistic, not everybody's want to go into a surplus, okay? Personal preference for myself, it doesn't bother me. I actually quite enjoy that process. I enjoy getting stronger. I enjoy eating more food. But my key factor is if you're eating a calorie deficit, well, that's not going to align with your glute growth goal, okay? If you want to drop body fat, yes, of course, you need to eat in a calorie deficit. But if you actually want to build muscle, you need to be on maintenance or in a calorie surplus. If you're not sure how to do that, all I'd recommend, honestly, is the most simplest thing possible to do. For a few weeks, track what you're eating on MyFitnessPal. Drink and food. Then alongside that, when you're weighing your kind of food, etc., and putting that into MyFitnessPal, see where your food is sitting, okay? Alongside that, also weigh yourself. I'd probably say 3 or 4 times across the week, because let's be realistic, your weight is going to fluctuate. Everybody's weight fluctuates daily due to many variables, okay? What you can then do is, with a multiple weigh-ins across your couple of weeks, you can see where your weight is trending. Now, if your weight is trending pretty much, obviously, kind of in a straight line, of course, again, your weight's going to fluctuate like that, you're at maintenance. If your weight is going up, you're in a surplus. If it's going down, you're in a deficit. So if your, of course, weight is going down, okay, increase that food a little bit. Really focus, obviously, on that consistency with that food. But actually, it's a starting point, okay? First things first, protein. Think about, obviously, having around 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. I say lean body mass because, obviously, let's say you're holding more kind of body fat, well, you don't want to be eating that much protein because you don't need that much protein. You want to have your lean body mass, okay? Secondly, your carbs. Honestly, a lot of individuals still in this day and age, they think that kind of carbs make them fat. No. Carbs don't make you fat, and I'm here to break that myth. Of course, makes you gain weight is actually the portion sizes, and that's the key focus you've got to bear in mind. Carbohydrates are fuel. I eat personally over 400 grams of carbs every single day. That is suited to me and my kind of goals right now. Fats, obviously, again, they're important as well. Obviously, get your fats in there, okay? But with your food, don't be restricting. So I would honestly recommend like looking into your meal timings. And yes, of course, this could be going a little bit deep into it. When I'm saying meal timings, look, you don't need to be perfect, okay? What I am saying is don't push all your food into the evening. Try and incorporate some carbohydrates actually around your kind of workout. Just make sure you're spreading your food out nicely across your day to suit you and your lifestyle. If you don't enjoy breakfast, don't have breakfast. Just make sure actually you're spreading the meals out nicely across the day. Same with your protein. Plan that out nicely across the kind of day. So your nutrition needs to align with your goal. You can train as hard as you like, but if that nutrition does not align, you're not going to build that muscle. And I can guarantee you, if you sit at maintenance for a period of time, you'll also feel really good, because if you're an individual that is constantly in a calorie deficit, you're not going to make progress, okay? Can I give myself as an example? If I look at my own journey over the past few years, the length I'm in a calorie deficit each year averages 12 to 16 weeks. Now that is around 3 to 4 months per year. That means I spend 9 months every single year either at maintenance or in my surplus. So what you can see there is majority of my year is spent at maintenance or in surplus. And that is how I've built my glutes, because I've actually taken time away from dieting. I don't enjoy dieting. Honestly, I'll do it, okay? Because if I want to get kind of leaner, I will. I'm happy to do it. I personally prefer eating more, building more muscle, because I just find it's more empowering. I find it really good. I find it enjoyable as well, really kind of being the strongest version of me. Think about that. Actually sit down, question yourself. How long would you say on average per year you spend in a deficit? You've got to be realistic, okay? So think about actually your obviously kind of plan in terms of kind of timeline. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect, okay? Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not, you guys are not perfect. Like, nobody is perfect, but actually think about your kind of timeline and think about how long you're spending into that deficit and step away from it for a period of time and actually build some muscle. Number 2, collect data. Now you're probably started thinking, what do you mean? Whether you're a beginner, whether you're experienced. Data, in my opinion, is one of the most important factors of a journey. When I'm saying data, there's a couple of things you can consider. First things first, obviously you're checking photos. Now you don't have to do these every single week. You could do them every other week if that is preferred. But this is data, like it's actually a way of you tracking your progression, because if you're putting all of your progression onto the number on the scale, it's demotivating. Actually, look at other data. So for example, your check-in photos, your measurements, for example, your lifts. Are your lifts getting stronger, for example? So collect this data, keep a note of it, keep a diary of it. And that's of course where actually having a coach can come in handy, because of course they can hold you accountable, they can help you in collecting that data, etc. But actually data is really important, so you can actually see where you're progressing, because if you're not collecting data, how do you know if you're progressing? Let's say for example, I sat here and said to you, okay, in the 15th of June, your check-in day, what was your glute measurement then? And you're sat there thinking, I don't know, because if you're not collecting the data, you can't remember it. It's pretty impossible to remember, of course, that much kind of data. Note it down. Simplest thing, on your phone, on your notes section, create like a column with like a mini check-in form. And you don't have to do this every single week. You could do it every other week, but collect your data, because you cannot expect to see if you're progressing unless you're collecting data. And that's the key focus. Like if I put a photo here, this is literally a screenshot of my check-in photos over the course of years. You can see I have hundreds of check-in photos on this phone, like literally hundreds, from prep, which was 2021, even before prep, obviously. If I kind of think back to kind of lockdown, so what, lockdown was 4 years ago now, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos of my check-ins on my phone. Now I'm not saying you need to do that, okay? What I am saying is maybe do one every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, but actually get into a routine of taking those photos, noting down how you're feeling, because it will help with kind of tracking your progression to actually make sure you're heading into the right direction. How do you actually know if you're heading into the right direction unless you're noting down that data? Point number 3 is your training program. So a couple of things I have noted down. First things first, progressive overload. Secondly, tempo. And actually thirdly, stop with the random workouts. You want to build your glutes, do not copy your favorite influencer's workout. You need a program personalized to you. Don't get me wrong, take inspiration from your favorite influencers, okay? That is absolutely fine. But do not copy everything. Everybody's goals is different. And of course, like look, with the random workouts, you've got to bear in mind, it's not going to help you if your goal is to build muscle. If you're just starting out, okay, and you're gonna try and get obviously into with things, trying to kind of find some motivation, etc. I understand. I understand that sometimes you want to change things up, you want to kind of spice things up a little bit, that's fine. But if you actually are serious about wanting to build your glutes, you have got to stick to a program for a period of time and actually make sure it's kind of personalized to you and your goals. So as an example, I've been on this program so far for at least 12 plus weeks. Again, I've progressed with them. Of course, there comes a time when you kind of want to make changes, whether that could be a whole new kind of program, adaptations, etc. But you can't expect to build muscle unless you're getting stronger. This is where kind of progressive overload comes into play. Let's say, for example, we have 3 times 8 to 12 on a hip thrust. Let's say I'm doing 180 kilograms. My first set, I'm doing 10 reps. My second set, 180 kilograms again, I'm doing 9 reps. The third, 180 again, I'm doing 8 reps. Now, what I'm going to do the week after is try and push for more reps. So my first set again would be 11, trying to maybe kind of get 12. My second set, maybe kind of 10 or 11. Okay, my third set, 9 or 10. You see how week on week on week on week, you're trying to get stronger. Once you hit that top rep range, let's say 8 to 12, try and push the weight up the week after. Now, my key factor in saying this, okay, please never compromise your tempo and form. And this honestly is something that I really push into my clients. Like I'm quite like pushy with it, because I think it's so important important that you actually understand that if your tempo and your form is completely off, potentially that's going to cause an injury and it won't help, okay? You need to make sure that form is on point. So that's why we have our clients submit their form. So literally they'll film themselves, and of course we will then kind of provide feedback, okay? Obviously if you don't have a coach, still film yourself, because that way you can then go back home and actually reflect and go, okay, so my form here, this is what it looks like. And you can then kind of go on the internet, find some obviously videos, and kind of look and compare in a positive way and actually see, right, maybe my feet, for example, need to be moved in a bit kind of closer. Maybe actually not getting that full range of motion. So you can actually make sure that you are kind of obviously hitting the kind of correct form there. So key factor, obviously you're wanting to progress, but you want to make sure along with that, you're not compromising your tempo form. So as an example, guys, honestly, I hit my highest PB I ever have, which I was actually buzzing. Okay, this is me doing my category bridge. Now this side here is me doing 180 the week before. I then pushed up to 190. Now in this 180, I was hitting 9 reps, okay? Now that is my rep range 6 to 9, okay? So what I then did was I pushed my first 2 sets up to 190. Now it was a big jump, to be fair, 10 kilograms, like it was a hard jump. What happened? Well, I actually got my 6 reps, okay? So what I will then do the week after, I won't then push the weight up again. I'll actually stick at 190 and try and get 7 reps in there, for example. So I'm kind of making sure I'm trying week on week, trying to get stronger. Now don't get me wrong, look, I understand life happens sometimes, and sometimes you're just in a bad mood, maybe kind of work was bad, you had an argument with kind of your loved one, for example, or maybe just generally you were just fed up that day, your period's heavy, for example, and you don't want to kind of push up, or you're struggling. That's fine. Like, I have those weeks as well, okay? So it's not going to ruin progress. Do not panic about that. If you can try and match the same weights and reps as last week, fantastic. But actually just think about kind of trying to push that a little bit more in each session. And again, look, I can talk about this for days, your training intensity. If I look back to my training intensity here, this is one of my very first videos I have myself hip thrusting. This is a video of myself. You can see the difference there in the intensity. There is training, and then there's training with intensity. I see it a lot where an individual kind of going to the gym thinking, oh, good, great session. But actually that last rep wasn't that hard. It wasn't challenging at all. The reps and the sets should be hard. It's not meant to be easy. It's meant to be hard. The last rep should be disgusting in a positive way. So we've gone over progressive overload. I've gone over actually intensity of your training. It's so important. And of course we've gone over stop copying your random workouts. I would say the other point is just tempo. Don't really understand it, have a look into it. I'll try and post another video on my coaching page very soon, so keep an eye out for that. Basically a way of your time and attention, okay? To put that even simpler, it's basically the amount of seconds you spend doing each rep. Now again, this is a mistake I've done in the past myself, where kind of my reps, they're like this, I'm like a flappy bird. Okay, what am I doing? No, you need to slow it down. Slow and controlled. Again, comparison with this hip thrust. Note here how I am quick, I am speedy, there's no control, there's no tempo. Now, I'm slow, I'm controlled. The eccentric slow, the pause is slow. So think about your kind of speeds of your workouts, okay? And remember, more is not always best. On my Wednesday leg day, I do 5 exercises, maximum. One of them has 2 sets in, but actually 2 of them, sorry, have 2 sets in. Kills me off, I'm dead at the end of it. I don't need to do anymore, I don't want to do anymore because I'm so tired. So you need to make sure you're not overdoing it. So look at those finer details. Make sure you are kind of pushing yourself, okay? Make sure that program is kind of challenging, and of course not overdoing it though. Finding that kind of fine line. Recovery is also important. I have 3 rest days per week, every single week without failure. I need those rest days because I am tired, and that's really important as well, okay? And my final point number 4, time. That's it, shit, time. If you haven't heard me talking about this before, where have you been? Hit the follow button already. You should know this by now by following my account. Should I end the video there? You cannot expect to build these huge glutes like that. Like, guys, it's so unrealistic. Trust me, I used to think it. I thought it'd be easy. I thought it'd be quick. I thought it'd be simple. It is not. It takes so much time. I'm gonna try and insert photos of myself here at the start of the journey, okay? You can see I'm very tall. I'm 5'10". I was very lean when I was younger. I have, and I always have, had a good relationship with food, okay? I was always very lean. That was just me. I was a very active young person with kind of horse riding, obviously to a competitive kind of level. I was in every single kind of sports team at school, study sport for my GCSE. So I was doing a lot of sport, okay? So now, as you can see, like back in the day, I hated my leg, and I remember it so clearly. Mum and I went to Cannes, and I remember sitting there saying to my mum, why do my legs touch and no other girls do? Literally, I remember it so clearly. And of course, back then, like, I really wanted that thigh gap. I think it was very trendy back in the day. Obviously now I'm like 26, so it's quite a few years ago now, to be fair. To now, where I've spent so many years building muscle, and it's taken me such a long period of time. And back in the last year, I did lose some muscle mass. Look, I had 6 months not being consistent. I wasn't eating enough, renovating, with moving house, different circumstances, etc. So now, I would say literally this past week, I've really felt myself feeling fuller of myself again. It has taken me years and years and years to build muscle. It doesn't doesn't happen overnight. You'll see a lot on social media where people are like, oh, she's just got genetics or it's just that. Well, actually, if you look back at the photos, yeah, okay, genetics can play a small impact, but actually there's a lot more to it than just genetics. If you're in that kind of position thinking, oh, I just have bad genetics, that's just me, I'm never going to be able to change. Well, actually, I want you to sit there and question yourself. Like, are you actually being patient? Are you actually being consistent? Are you actually aligning your nutrition with your kind of goals? Are you actually training hard enough? Are you actually dedicating time to it? And I think that's where a lot of people forget, I guess you could say. I have dedicated a lot of time to it, and I really, really have. And that's something I really want to make sure you guys know. By the end of this video, like, I have dedicated so much time to building my glutes. That's why I'm in the position that I am now, where I have built a decent amount of muscle mass. But anyway, time honestly is the biggest factor. And it's the same with any journey, whether that's a fat loss journey, whether that's a kind of building muscle, anything, like literally anything takes time. So please make sure you're being realistic with your kind of time frame. Don't just do 3 weeks and think, well, I've been doing 3 weeks of consistency. Why have I not added inches to my glutes? It doesn't happen like that. I'm actually right now, I believe I'm around 11 weeks into my growing phase, and only now can I start to feel myself feeling a little bit thicker, like the tiniest amount. And I was talking to Harv yesterday, like, do you think there's any difference yet? And we're both like, not really. Look, people can get very disheartened by that, and I can appreciate that it's very kind of challenging, but it's the mindset game, okay? You've got to kind of be in it for the long haul, and that's so important, okay? So please, if you are struggling, give your kind of self that kick up the bum and actually remind yourself long term, you will thank yourself, but it does take time. So there I have my 4 obviously points. We have time, we have your training obviously program, we have aligning your nutrition obviously with your goals, and the last one was collecting data. So they're my kind of 4 points, I would say, as a summary obviously for building glutes. Look, like I said to you guys at the start, there's a lot more I can go into in terms of detail, but I want to make sure this is not too long. But do let me know if you want to see like a part 2, if there's any other topics you want me to kind of touch on, because I, as you can see, could talk about it for days. So thank you guys so much for watching. Keep at it. If you're building your glutes, keep at it. If you have any questions, if you're stuck on anything to do with your journey, comment it down below and let me help you, okay? But otherwise, I'll catch you guys next Sunday at 6 p.m.